I can see we have people joining in. The early birds are already here. Thank you, Christopher, for joining us this evening. We are honored to have you.
Thank you. I'm here. I'm happy to be here.
Emma, thank you for joining in. Yeah, we're looking forward to exciting conversation. Susanna. So we're going to be a little gracious. Of course, our set time was supposed to be 5 p.m., but sometimes it's just good to give people a little more time and see if there are more people who will make it before we get to around 5:05 should be a good time to start. So those already in, it's an opportunity to prepare your writing materials, getting so that you don't get to move when the conversation begins. So Christabel, Elma, you have some time to have yourself settled. Others will have us on the move, but let's give a little bit more, some minutes, just like 5 minutes. Hello, hello, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this inspiring webinar. We took the risk, the value of risk taking, and why women should embrace it as a strategy for growth and success. Today, we are diving into a topic that has the power to redefine how women approach our personal and professional journeys. Risk-taking is often considered to have a reputation of fear and uncertainty. But what if we viewed it as a bridge to growth, innovation, and transformation? What if taking risk became our strategy for breaking barriers, creating opportunities, and achieving success on our own terms? Today, we bring to you this webinar brought to us by Zion Pearl Publishers, featuring one of the co-authors of the book, We Took the Risk, Beatrice Kiruri, who has written the 14th chapter of the book. And the title of her chapter is Faith-Based Risks. Sounds like we are in for a good time today. When you know, then you think of a deity, you think of a superpower somewhere. So, Beatrice, we are very glad to have you today. Thank you for making time to be part of this conversation. This book, We Took the Risk. Risk is authored under the leadership or directorship of Mr. Adido Dooso. And we've had a series of these webinars happening. It is actually a pre-launch webinar. We have this book coming to be launched on the 30th of November. The book is already out, already in the hands of people, but the launch is happening on the 30th. So today we have with us, like I've said, Beatrice Kiruri, who is one of the authors, going to just share with us her stories of risk-taking, the lessons she has learned, and both positive and negative, and just to encourage us how we can also follow the path she took to get to a place where that was too early.
All right, as we wait for Dottie to come back, so good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for taking your time to join us this evening. It's really, really good to see you. My friends, Beverly Andika, I can see Esther Derito, I can see Faith Lillian, I can see Martin, and many more. So thank you so much for coming through to spend time with me and learn more about risk-taking. So before we start off, I'd like to engage with you. I'm sure you're wondering, who is Beatrice? How did Beatrice become an author, for those that know me? But before we do that, I'd like to engage with you on chat. So get your fingers ready, because I have a question that I need to ask you. On the chat, quickly type for me a name of one person you believe is a bold risk taker. Type for me the name of one person that you believe is a bold risk taker. So I'm waiting. Come on, come on, come on. Type and engage with me. Let me know the name of one person that is a bold risk taker. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the name of one person that is a bold risk taker. Let's engage. Today we'll be talking about risk taking and why it's a valuable trait for women and also for us here in Africa, and why we should embrace it as a strategy for growth and development. So tell me, who is one person that comes to mind when you think about a bold risk taker? You can also feel free to unmute and talk to me and let me know who is one person that comes to mind. When you look at risks, you're like, anyway, if that person, if there was an opportunity, I am sure it is X who would run and take that risk. So go ahead and type. Go ahead and give me that response. I am waiting. If you're able to unmute, you can unmute as we wait for Dottie to come back. Okay. I can see somebody here who has inboxed me and told me Nelson Mandela. That is good. I can see also another answer that I've been given here, Kamala Harris. That's a good answer. Somebody else, give me a name of a person that you think is a bold risk taker. Aha, I can see. Martin has said Donald Trump. Thank you very much, as a bold risk taker. Somebody else, who do you have in mind as a bold risk taker? Come on, give us a name.
Beatrice, I've typed Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, thank you very much for those responses. Now that I have you on the mic, why do you think he's a bold risk taker?
This is Beverly. I think Elon Musk is a risk taker. He founded and actually runs multiple companies concurrently. And the two that stand out for me is SpaceX and Tesla.
Could you imagine that we are going to space? Thank you very much, Beverly, for that response. So, who is Beatrice Kiruri? Beatrice Kiruri is a bold risk taker. And why I ask you to put your name, to put a name of a bold risk taker, is because by the time we come to the end of this webinar, and by the time you buy our book and read about bold risk taking, the next time this question is asked of you, I want you to put your name. I want you to say, when you are asked who is a bold risk taker, put your name, Beverly Andika, and explain. I am a risk taker because this is the risks that I've taken. Christabel Mugasa, the next time this question comes along and they ask who is a bold risk taker, I'd want you to put your name, because our objective with this book is to turn many, many more people to be risk takers as a strategy for growth, and especially women to be more risk takers as a strategy for growth. So who's Beatrice Kiruri? I go by two names, Beatrice Kiruri and Kirubi. Beatrice Kiruri is a bold risk taker. I'm a bold risk taker. I work in the human resource department. I love people. I love people. That's my weakness. People are my weakness. I love people. I like working with people. I like seeing people succeed in everything that they do. Other than that, I'm a born-again Christian. I fellowship in Winners Chapel International. Some of the people have joined us in this webinar. Some of the colleagues that we are together in church and we serve together in church have joined us in this webinar. I'm also a mother and now a first-time author. First-time author, having taken the risk to become an author. That was something I had desired to do many years ago, but an opportunity had not come up. So that is Beatrice Kiruri, a risk taker, a lover of people, and a lover of God. So today we are talking about this book, why we took the risk. Like Dottie has said, I'm the 14th author. And what happened in October, some years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I wrote a list of goals, 100 goals. That was in the year 2000. Why the year 2000? Because for those who had not been born then, the year 2000 was a big year. We were changing a whole millennium. We were moving into a whole year that was starting with 2000. In fact, we weren't even sure that we were going to make it into the year. There were so many rumors being said the world was coming to an end. I don't know, computers were going to crash. And so then, being a young person, I wrote 100 things that I needed to do in life. And one of them was going to become an author. It didn't happen immediately, but in October 2024, I got a call. I got an inbox from my LinkedIn. Somebody asked me, there's this project that you're having and there's a book that you're writing, we would want you to become part of the team that would participate in the project. Of course, being a bold risk taker, I said yes, because this was part of the goals that I wanted to achieve in my own life. I said yes, but I also prayed about it. That's why you saw my topic my chapter is called Faith-Based Risk. I prayed about it And then I did my investigation. I went into LinkedIn, I had a look, I looked around. What is this company? Who are Zion publishers? Who is Mr. Dosso, who has reached out to me? What do they do? And I found that indeed they do publishing. And this is one of the goals that I had written many years ago. And so I went ahead and wrote the book. I took one Friday afternoon. I was seated because I'd never written a book before. But hey, there's always a first time. I always say, if you've not done it before, there's always a first time. If nobody else has done it before, you can be the first one to do it. I sat one afternoon and I wrote everything I needed to write about the topic. And then I kept it aside for a while. I had 3 weeks to do the submission. So I kept it aside. And then I read it again and I looked and I was like, I'm not sounding like an author. I'm not sounding very authorly, if there's an award like that. And I then sat down and again, I relooked at the book. I relooked at how writing it is done. And slowly by slowly, words started coming to me as I walked through this journey prayerfully, and God gave me the words. And I invite you to come and read this book and read about risk-taking and why it is important for you, because there's no decision that you will make or any one time that you'll have 100% clarity when you're walking through this road. At some point, you might have 50, but you need to take the jump. Sometimes you have 60. After you've started everything, you might have 60% of the information that you need, or 70 or 80. Because what is a risk by definition? A risk is a potential hazard. What is a calculated risk? Is when you have identified all the hazards or what are the potential faults that would happen, but you still go ahead and put your time, you put your investment, and go ahead and execute that which you wanted to do. So that is Beatrice, and that is my journey as I wrote this, participated in this wonderful project. I don't know whether Dottie is back. Unmute, Dottie.
That was too soon for me to be kicked out. I'm very sorry for that. We
okay.
appreciate technology, but sometimes technology can technologize us, if there's any word like that. Thank you for moving on with the conversation, even in my absence. That is leadership, and I appreciate. Thank you for coming in and just taking it on and moving with it. So Beatrice, we are so honored to have you. Like I said from the very beginning, before I finished my statement, Zoom decided to give me a break. I'm glad I'm back. We are talking about risk-taking, and we are focusing on the book, We Took the Risk, the value of risk-taking and why women should embrace it as a strategy for growth and success. Like I said, together with us, she has already talked about herself. I've not gotten to hear much of that, but I know she had said something about her. Beatrice is one of the co-authors. There are 14 authors, and she's the writer of the 14th chapter. And like I said while starting, that her chapter being faith-based risks means there is some superpower involved. So we expect some super powerful conversations today. Thank you, Beatrice. Now, as we begin, I'll have you talk a little bit about risk-taking. I don't know if my question is going to be relevant because I missed a bit of that part of it, but I would have just wanted you to tell us your general perspective as an individual, as a woman, about risk-taking and why risk-taking is an important concept for the woman in the society today.
All right, that's a very good question. My concept about risk-taking, we cannot avoid. If we want to grow, if we want to get to the level that God has prepared us for, we have to take some level of risks. If you read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, the people that God worked with, sometimes they did not have 100% clarity on the direction that they were taking, but they depended on God and went ahead and took the instructions that they had been given. I want to tell a story. I hope we all like stories. Story, come.
Story come.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you a story. So there was once a merchant who was going on a journey. And on this journey, he had 3 servants that he was going to leave behind. And as he was taking this journey, he called each of them and told them, look, good people, I am leaving for quite a while, but I want to leave something behind, which we are going to call talents. And to the first servant, he gave 4 talents. To the second servant, he gave 2 talents. And to the final one, to the third servant, he gave 1 talent. And then he went on to his journey. So what did the first servant who had 4 talents do? He took an opportunity and invested them. Same case to the second one. By the time the merchant was coming back, their master was coming back, he called them and told them, come on, come and give me an account of the talents that I give to you. To the first servant who had been given 4 talents, he had invested them and multiplied them, and he had a total of 8. And the servant told him, and the master told him, well done for what you have done. To the second servant who had been given 2 talents, he had also invested them. Okay, he had also invested them, and he had multiplied them to become 4. He engaged in some trade, and so he told the master, I have multiplied them, I took some risks, I invested them, and here they are 4. And he was told, well done. To the third servant, he was afraid. And what did he do? He took his talent and buried it. And so when the master came, he told them, me, I was afraid to move. I know you gave me my talent, but I was afraid. So I buried it. And here is your talent back. Guess what the master called him? He called him wicked. He told him, you wicked servant. I gave you a talent. You are returning it to me just the same way that I gave it to you. I'm sure you had this story in Sunday school. So it is not new to you because it's found in the Bible. Now, strangely enough, when I was reading this book, the master called the 2 servants that took risk and invested their talent, he called them faithful servants. And that is the same. Can I submit it to you? That is the same way that when we come here on earth, God has invested something with us, and he wants us to multiply it. By the time we return to him, he wants us to multiply it and invest and do something about it. We can draw 3 lessons from this story. That you are not supposed to sit with your talent. Whatever it is that you have been given by God, you're supposed to go with all the entrusted resources and abilities and go out there. Whether you have a talent to sing, you have a talent to write, you have a talent, it is only at the point of you taking a risk and exposing yourself that you will know what much more you can do and multiply that talent that you've been given. A very powerful lesson. The other thing we can learn is your next level and your promotion will be dependent on the risks you are willing to take. And real growth will only come once you step out, even when the outcome is not guaranteed. If we would have an opportunity to talk to this servant, it wasn't guaranteed that when they invested their 4 talents, that it was guaranteed that they would get it. There was a possibility they could lose it altogether, but they went ahead and invested, and they got a return. Okay, the biggest risk is not failure in this life, but the fear of trying. Are you trying? Are you taking whatever talents, whatever resources that have been invested in you and putting them out there, regardless of whether you are afraid of what the backlash will be, what is going to happen? Are you taking calculated risks, sitting down and saying, I will invest this and wait for a return? If I can quote Mark Zuckerberg, he said, he's a famous entrepreneur, and he said, the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. The biggest risk is remaining where you are. So for me, I believe in taking risk, calculated risk, spending time, seeing an opportunity and grabbing it and running with it. And that would be probably my response as a story to your question, Dottie. Over to you.
Thank you so much. That is powerful. And I like the illustrations you've given from the scriptures. You're really sticking to your title, faith-based risks, and that is very much appreciated. Now, you as an individual, how have you managed to balance faith and practical considerations when making risky career moves? Because we can talk of faith in one aspect, and then we talk of risk in a practical aspect. Will you share with us how you have managed to balance the two?
Okay, that's a very good question, Dottie. How have I managed to balance the two? 3 things that I have done. I ensure that I have the mindset and the information that I need if I'm about to take. Remember, we are always talking about calculated risks. That I ensure that I have the skills that I need. If it's a move that I want to make, maybe I want to change careers, and you will read in my book, I've taken bold risks. whether it was in changing jobs, whether it was in changing careers completely. I was once a salesperson. I was once a sales manager, changed my career completely from being a sales manager to a human resource manager. I will make sure that I have all the information. I will study, check for the information that I need, make sure that I have all the information that I need. Also make sure that my mind is ready to do that. My mind is ready to do that, to take on that activity that I want to do. So I ensure I have that, but I also have the tools necessary for me to take that risk, and that I engage as many people that have gone before me, the role models that I watch out to, and the risk, what I call in the book, the risk village. You must have people around you that will support you. Not everybody, when you go and tell them, hey, I want to move from this career to this other one, that they will support you and tell you, go, 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 go. No, some of them will tell you, what is wrong with sales? You've been doing well in that. And they love you. They're doing it because they're afraid of you. They have, not afraid of you. They don't want you to make a mistake. Eh? They are risk averse, and they're there. They're our family. They love us, but they probably are worried for us. So you must have people that you can bounce these ideas on, and people that cheer you on in life and tell you, go, 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 go. Even if you make a mistake, you will come back and fall back to this. So make sure that whatever risk that you want to take, even in your career, it's a calculated risk. You have studied everything that you can study about it. You have all the information that you need before you start that journey that you need to take in your career. You have interviewed even those that are already doing the career that you're already doing, and asking them, what are the issues, what are the challenges that you experience in this area. And once you are ready and your mind is ready, do not forget you are here for a reason. Okay? Above everything, commit it to God, because one of the people that is really, really supporting and cheering you on and wants you to succeed is God. So commit it to God, and He will order your steps, and you will be fine. So that's how I balance between looking at my faith and also balancing it out and making sure that I have the tool set, the skill set, the mindset, the information, the support that I need to make any change or any risk that I need to take in my career.
Wow. You must have your tool set, your skill set, your mindset, and don't forget to commit it to God, because He's your #1 cheerleader. Thank you for that. Now, I'm looking at your writing, and you've written so in such an interesting way. If there's one thing I enjoy or I like about your writing, is how you come at the end of every something you have discussed and you tell us what you learned. You know, so I'm looking at when you're looking for an internship and then training without a contract, and I'm wondering, how did this appetite for risk-taking come? Is it something you were born into? Is it your environment? What do you think cultivated this, appetite for risk-taking? Because if I would gauge, you began it at a very tender age, I would say. Some of us or some women are in their 40s, even 50s or 60s, but still very careful when it comes to risk-taking. Please share with us your story.
Oh, excellent. So upbringing is very, very important. In fact, I was supposed to be in the last webinar with Catherine, and we were discussing, and we saw that upbringing and parents, and for those of us that are parents here, it's very important to cultivate this risk-taking appetite in your children while they're very young. My parents and a big percentage of my family are in business. The minute you hear business, you know risks. It will fail, it will succeed. You will buy mangoes today, mangoes are not working. You will buy tomatoes tomorrow, they're not working. You will put quails. Some will pick, some will not pick, okay? So when I was born in Nairobi, in Pumwani Hospital, I was taken to River Road. As soon as my mother did her maternity leave, she took me to River Road because she had a shop in River Road. And so I did see. And the good thing with my parents is they allowed us to be anything we wanted to be. The other thing that they did is they gave us stories, the good and the bad. They would tell you, oh, we went here and we did this and we lost money. We went here and we did this and we made money, okay? So we already had examples. I already had examples, and I already had case studies of what to do when you're buying land. They went and bought this land and they lost because they gave the documents to somebody who went and conned them. So already that forms your mind that don't even try that. I went to this other place and we did this and we succeeded. We heard about this venture that this place was being sold and we invested money and we succeeded. We went here and we saw this stock and we thought this stock was really good for our business. We bought it and we made money. So I had a lot of that growing up as a child. Not formally, not that they sat down and said, let's mentor these children. We are 9 of us in the family, but because we saw it and they communicated it to us. The other thing is that I would say is also the community you come from to some extent, because I was looking back and seeing like in my community, I'm a Kikuyu, there are some sayings that say like "Shiaro meshiuragira kuige." You know, if you lose, well, if you gain, well, forgive yourself. So you're encouraged to bounce back very quickly. You know, if you lost, don't stay there and hold a pity party and send out cards because you lost. Can you just bounce back and come back? A lot of people lose a lot of things and they are breathing and they are fine. You will lose once, sometimes you will gain, most times you will gain. So with that attitude, which people keep repeating, you know, you go to your parent, you tell them I did this, and they tell you, don't worry, things disappear. A lot of times you will do better next time. So you know you will do better next time. And so that means it prepares you for the next challenge that you have. And so for that, an informal mentoring, an informal opportunity, an informal support, even to start your own business, you know, to start your own business and go and try. If you fail, you are welcomed back and you're told, you know what, these things happen. So we need to try another day. So that to some extent made me know that the lowest you can be, you're just bouncing back to where you were, to the level you were, then you grow from there. So if it doesn't succeed, just come back and you will be fine and we live to try another day. So for that, mostly I'd attribute it to my upbringing and the community that I was around. Yes. Yes. So it would be like, what's the worst that can happen? Go try. If it doesn't work, come back. Let's eat. Let's laugh and then bounce back very quickly and move on. Yeah.
Thank you, Beatrice. I'm liking it. One of the things I would say I'm picking is you're telling us that risk-taking appetite is something that can be learned. You may not have it at all, but your environment can pull you into it. You can be influenced by the people around you. And for your own case, it began from your tender age because you saw it with your parents. I'm getting it. It is something that we can learn. And I know when we talk about faith and divine guidance, we are not talking about some risky, careless risk-taking, you know. You've talked about being calculative as much as we are involving God. You've talked about being calculative in our risk-taking. So I would like just to get to know from you. Have you experienced challenges being a faith person? And of course, approaching risk-taking from faith level or from a faith perspective. Have you experienced some challenges you'd want to share with us? And how did you overcome them, if there are any?
Of course.
Yes.
Yes, of course, there are challenges that you will experience in this journey. Have I invested? Yes, I've invested, even been, what are some of the challenges? And especially, I'm a fan of real estate and construction. I love. You hear those land that they say, a plot maguta. If you've heard of a plot maguta, most likely I've been there and I have tried it out. I have gone and I've seen maguta. So yes, I have taken sometimes, especially in my investment to do with land, I've taken very.
Hello, can you hear me? Is it
Yes.
me that is off air, or is it Beatrice that has gone off?
I don't know. Can you hear
You
me?
don't hear me? Yes, you're frozen for a while, but you're back.
On our side, we can hear both of you. Thank you.
That they can hear both of us. All right. So I was talking about calculated risks. So yes, I've made mistakes, especially in land investments in Kenya. And unfortunately, not once and not twice. And some of them, I really ticked all the boxes because I remember one piece of land that I wanted to buy, and I was referred to by my mother to her friend. It is her friend she sent me to, a person they'd been together for the longest time. And they're the ones who were supposed to sell me this land. So I did everything that I know how to do. And seeing that this was an older person, I did not expect them to con me. But I was conned. I was conned a lot of money. Nilioshwa. Nilioshwa vizuri sana. And in fact, the problem was not even me, it was my mother, because my mother could not believe it until I stopped telling her I got conned, because I could see the effect it had on her. She was telling me, no, let's go talk to them. After I look at everything, I'm like, hey, ma'am, with all this, my education and more degrees than a thermometer, because I have degrees, but yeah, nimeoshwa hapa, tumeoshwa. And I remember I had to stop talking about it because I saw the effect it had on my mother. My mother is telling me, no, let's go talk to them. I don't think they con you, they are good people. But I was conned. I had done everything I could. I had done all the risks mitigation that I could. I talked to people. That particular couple had sold to other people and they had genuine titles. But here I was, nilioshwa vizuri. And what I learned from that particular incident is bounceability. You have to develop, even as you get a risk appetite, you also have to bounce back very quickly. Because I could have said, you know what, I'll never ever invest in this, I'm out. Yeah, but within a year, I was back, forgave myself, patted myself, called myself for a meeting, looked at where I went wrong, what did I do wrong, what didn't I do right, why didn't I bounce it around with more people, why didn't I talk to my brothers, why didn't I talk to more people to find out how these things work. Had I invested in land before and made a good decision? Yes. But in this particular one, it did not work out. It was painful, took me back 2 to 3 or 4 years of my earnings. But yeah, here I am, I'm breathing. I thank God. If you see a good piece of land, let me know. I will invest. This time, I know how to do the due diligence. And so I learned.
The appetite is unquenchable.
It's unquenchable. And
You
I
fall-
learned, and what I learned about risks, like I've written in the book, one level of risk taking and the lessons you learn from there, it's like a staircase. What you learn from one level takes you to the next level and takes you to the next level. So you no longer remain a baby. You can smell corns 10 kilometers before. I can tell you, I will tell you this is a corn before. My sixth sense and we will just be up and about. And that's what I say, that it's important to start walking this journey because you develop the muscles. It's like going to the gym and you develop the muscle for risk taking, you develop the muscle for whatever. Something Harvard probably would never have taught you, even if you took a master's degree. And just like we see in the Bible with King David, when he was a small boy and he went to face his biggest Goliath, he depended on his past experiences. He said, look, when he was talking to the king, look, I've dealt with the bear, I've dealt with the lion, I can deal with this. He had experience that he could bounce back on. So that's why I encourage everyone, start taking those small steps and start building the muscle slowly by slowly as you go along. Dottie?
Wow. Thank you, Beatrice. So like one of you in one of the sessions said that it's like an acquired taste. You first don't feel it, you don't like it, but as you continue to taste it, you know, you eventually get addicted. And that is how we get addicted to certain foods, you know, and it becomes sweet and enjoyable to you.
That is very
true. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Beatrice, I want to look a little bit at something you have written in your chapter. I don't know if you have a copy of your book or probably you have a copy in your head, but I'm looking at page 231. And there is something interesting there. You took up a role in sales with zero skills. That was a risky venture, you know, zero skills, but you took up the responsibility and you said, I'm running away with it. And like I told you, I like how you end, you know, your topics with what I learned. I'm going to read the first thing that you learned from that particular topic that you have discussed. Your true potential often reveals itself in challenging situations. Sometimes it's others who recognize the potential within you that you may not see in yourself. Don't always listen to your heart. As a singer once said, the heart's not smart. You know, I'm looking at this statement and I'm looking at faith, and personally as an individual, I'm feeling, isn't there a contradiction in this statement? What exactly do you mean by that statement? Don't listen to your heart. The heart's not so smart.
Okay, good. The heart is not always so smart. What did I mean? Just to give a background on the topic so that my listeners can walk the journey with me. I was working as a customer service agent, and the boss one day in a meeting after the incumbent resigned, just say, Beatrice, you're the one who's going to run the sales department. Now, I had never done sales other than what I told you at my mother's shop and a few other merchandising activity. And I felt very, very inadequate, very, very inadequate. Looking at myself, because this is what I saw myself as inadequate, and my heart told me I was inadequate. And that is what the heart will say. But what does God say about you? That is where I come. If you look at that chapter, you will see that I spent time. After I had told myself, I don't think I can take up this position. They are more qualified people than me. Why have they picked me? Won't I? And I even talk about failure and how scared I am of failure, and which blocked my risk-taking appetite. I was very, very afraid of failing. And sales, sales, you can't hide. You're either selling or not selling. You can't come and talk the corporate talk of big things and show up in the boardroom. You have sold. Have you sold or have you not sold? And in the industry I was in, it was an hourly business, meaning you have to sell. If you don't sell this hour, you can't sell the next hour. The sale has to be done this hour. So I was very, very afraid. And my heart told me, you cannot do it. Okay? My heart looked at me and told me, in your eyes, by the way, just like the children of Israel who went to scale Jericho, you are a grasshopper. You cannot do this. It's impossible. How can you do it? There are people who are more experienced than you. You've never even sold such a product. And that is what my heart said. But you will see that I spent time. When I went home, after I finished all the crying, because, well, I cry, which is fine. I cry, I took it upon myself. Then I went to the one who created me and asked, should I move or should I not move? And the person that I saw on the other side was a giant, was a person who could actually do the sales. And the volumes eventually spoke for themselves. Because like I said, sales is not something that you can hide. You can't say you sold when you did not sell. So I looked at it, and by the time morning was coming, I had gained the confidence that I needed. And I said, could it be that they are seeing a giant while I'm seeing a grasshopper? Why don't I go ahead and do it? And do it afraid. It isn't that I woke up saying, hey, now I have gotten all the skills that I need. No, I didn't. I still went ahead, and God made a way for me, and I did a good job in that position. So that's what I meant with that. Yes.
Okay, well explained. Thank you. I'm really curious, and I just want to know which preceded the other. Is it your walk of faith or the art of risk taking? Which developed into the other? Did they come together or something, or did one come before the other?
I would say the art of risk taking, and then making mistakes and burning, and then asking yourself, had I involved God in this one, wouldn't I have made a better prospect on this? Okay. So after failing and failing and failing, and then you look back and you're like, okay, maybe there's something different that I need to do. Maybe it's at this point I need to ask to get more help than what I already have. So had I taken risks before that were not very well thought out and not very well calculated and did not involve my faith? Yes. Did some succeed? Some did, but some of them failed. And so I saw that it was easier and better and gives me a peace of mind when I involve my faith in the risks that I'm about to take. Once I do everything, once I have studied, I've done my whatever, I commit to God and I tell him, show me what I'm not able to see. I need a superpower. If I'm going to succeed in this lifeline that you have given me, I need a superpower. I need more help than what I already have. And hence my faith-based risks initiative or topic comes up.
That's a good lesson to learn. I'm just looking at myself and many women who are listening to you, some who are on this call, and probably those who are going to see it, to see this conversation on YouTube. And what would you tell to a woman who is listening to you but is not feeling very confident in their faith? Are there some practical steps that you would maybe recommend for them to take to bring them to a place where they can confidently now begin to take risk as people of faith?
Are there practical steps that they would take? Yes. Yes, there are practical steps that you should take. Not the first step that I would say is commit. Make a choice. You can't be in two places. What do you want to do? Do you want to remain in the world, or do you want to walk with God and allow God to come and work with you 100%? Not that you're on this side and on this side you're not working. Secondly, we have the manual, which is the Bible. Spend time reading the Word of God. Thirdly, you have the Holy Spirit. There's something the Bible says. When Jesus was living, was he on earth, he said that I will not leave you without a helper. I'm going to send the Holy Spirit. And he said, you shall receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. You shall receive power. In this earth, power is very powerful. People respect you because of power. You're able to do a lot of things when you have power. So allow the Holy Spirit to work with you in everything that you do. So those are the 3 steps that I would say. Know that you have power, know that you have backup on the steps that you're about to take, okay? Go ahead, look at the risk that you're about to take. Get as much information as you can. There is a place for reading, there's a place for talent, there's a place for evaluation. The other day I was doing a Bible study with some of my nieces as a family. And I asked them, when you look at, what is his name? Samson. What is the one thing that sets Samson apart from anybody else? Samson in the Bible. And eventually we saw what sets Samson apart was the Holy Spirit. Every time he was about to do something, you would see that the Holy Spirit came upon him. And so he was able to execute and be able, even though he made wrong choices in life and his life was cut short, it's very important then that as a person who's going to use faith to address the issues that you're going to address here on earth, that you make a choice, that you're going to walk this journey with God. So that would be what I'd say about that topic.
Thank you. Thank you, Beatrice. I can see there are some comments and some questions coming on the chat. I also just want to remind us that this webinar is brought to us by Zion Pearl Publishers, the organization that is behind the project she leads. The umbrella under which We Took the Risk is authored. We Took the Risk is an anthology authored by 14 women leaders from different backgrounds and different careers, you know, sharing their experiences with risk-taking and just showing us the value of risk-taking and why we should embrace it as a strategy for growth and success. So there's a question here from Faith Lillian. And Faith Lillian is asking, how do you, let me paraphrase it, how do you manage the psychological pressure of bearing responsibility for the outcome of a major risk?
How do I bear the psychological pressure of bearing? How do I do that? I guess before I embark on any journey or I take up anything, like we had discussed before, get as much information as you can, get as much background check as you can, study, and also get mentors and people that can help you and can give you a third eye. Sometimes some of the risks that I take is because I've formed what I call a risk village. People that have the same faith with me, people that hear God, and people that can speak into my life and tell me, by the way, that was stupid. That was very, very stupid. Before you go that direction, you shouldn't have. And we'll call you out. We'll call you out and tell you that that move you're about to make, by the way, is not very good. But there are people that you have allowed and you have looked at their values and the values are similar to yours, and they are the same. So once you have that risk village around you and you have taken various risks and have developed the muscles in areas that you believe now you have all the information, you have all the tools and the skill set that you need, and your mind, you've prayed about it, then you go ahead once you get peace. This is what I say in my life. If I don't have peace on an issue, I don't have the grace for it, then I will not go. Okay? If I decide today I'll be a footballer, it is stressing me extremely. I have prayed about it. I have done everything that I could about it. I don't have grace for football. I will step aside and let the footballers do it. If I decide there's money in marathon, and I ran, and my heart is beating. My body is not accommodating me. I don't have the grace to be a marathoner. But if I have peace in the area that I'm going, I have prayed about it. I've taken risk. I've talked to my mentors and the people that care about me. I've done all my calculations, and I've seen this is the direction that I need to go. And I have peace for it. Then for sure, psychologically, I will sleep very, very well at night, even as I continue with that journey. Yes. And maybe, who asked that question?
Thank you, Beatrice.
Sorry, remind me who asked that question.
That is Faith Lillian.
Faith Lillian, I'll encourage you to
Faith
read the
Lillian.
book. I'll encourage you to buy the book. And there's a story that I've given there where I took a stop in my career. Having been married, I was married. I think I must have been 12 years married into my marriage with a set of twins, a boy and a girl who were 10 years. Took a stop in my career and went to do masters abroad. Not sure whether I'd come back to Kenya and still get my job, or whether even the country that I was going to, how it would work out, because it was a country that didn't even speak the language that I speak. But I was at peace. I had run it through my parents, because I know one thing about parents is there's nobody who will ever want anything. You know, my head is speaking Swahili, but my mouth is speaking English. So allow me to say it. Hakuna mtu atakutakia mema kama mzazi wako. You know you are not in competition with your parents. So when you tell them, this is what I want, they're able to run it from their experience and tell you, this is, go ahead or don't go ahead. So after I'd run it through them, I'd run it through my husband, I'd run it through my friends, my prayer group, and told them this is what I wanted to do. And I got peace for it. I had grace for it. Every step that I took, a door opened. I prayed about it. My prayer group prayed about it. Then I went ahead and it worked out well. And here I am today with my one more degree that I attained, fully paid for scholarship for myself and my children. Yeah, so that's what I'd say about that. So buy the book and read more from me and other women and the risks that they have taken and how they came about to make that decision, whether to go or not to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Find the peace. If the peace is there, that is a signal to go ahead. If it is not there, you may want to take some time. And that is what I'm picking from what you have just said. I love the idea of having a risk village. I just wanted to get some clarity from your end. When you talk of a risk village, what are you actually meaning? Are you talking about mentors, or are you talking about your larger network? You know, is it about mentors? Is it about the larger network? What are you really referring to?
All right. When I talk about risk village, I would consider risk-taking to be similar to learning a new language. So today you decided to learn German. Okay. One thing, you will go to school and you will learn the pronunciation, you will learn how that language is spoken. All right. But for you to be able to practice this language, you must be around other German speakers, isn't it? You must be around other people that speak that language. That is what I talk about when I talk about risk-taking, that you must be around people who take risks, who have taken risks in the past, who are mostly ahead of you or at the same place like you, who then you can have this discussion with. A village are people who are talking the same language with you, who understand when I say this, when I call for this, this is what I mean. That is what I mean by that. People who will mentor you and coach you because they are ahead of you. Like I gave an idea of buying land. People who have bought land, you cannot go and get advice from somebody who hasn't done it before, somebody who hasn't jumped or has only read about it in books, but has not worked, have not had their 10,000 hours of experience. Okay. So that is what I mean when I say put together a village, a person, people who have had experience before and who will walk you and tell you, these are the mistakes that I made. These are the potential risks. When you get to this top, you have to turn to right, and you have to turn right within this minute or else you'll make this mistake. So that is what I mean in view of using the example of a language, that if you want to learn a language, you can do so in YouTube, but at some point you might want to go around people who actually speak the language so that you can be able to learn it faster and move faster. They cut the experience for you. They cut the journey for you. They make it shorter. They make it more enjoyable. And you pick them from the experience that they have gone through.
I agree with you, Beatrice. You know, the Bible says that an iron sharpens an iron, so one man sharpens the countenance of another. So I'm liking the idea, and I totally agree with you that it is important to have someone or people who can always call you out or call you to accountability. Thank you for sharing that. This webinar is brought to us by Zion Pearl Publishers, and I just wanted to let us know that this book is yet to be launched. The launch is scheduled for 30th of November at the Trademark Hotel from 2 p.m. And we are looking forward to having all of you who have been able to be here today join us on that day for an exciting experience. And interestingly more, the book is already out. It is the launch we are waiting for. So we have the book in our stores. If you want to get a copy for yourself, we have order contact available on the chat. There is an order link. You can make your order and the book shall be delivered to you. So if you're interested in getting a copy for yourself, Beatrice has been encouraging Faith Lillian. Faith Lillian, you can get a copy and begin reading ahead of the launch. When you come to the launch, you have picked some insights and just coming to spice it up with the exciting experience of the launch. So if you want that, let us know. We have the order link available there. And if you have any questions, you have any concerns, you want assistance from us, reach out. We have also our contacts available on the chat. And back to you, Beatrice. Talking about the launch, I know we have touched on a few areas here and there on your writing. But sometimes if you look at what you have authored and somebody asked you, what is one thing that is standing out for you in what you have written in this chapter? Everything stands out, but what is one thing that is standing out for you in the chapter that you have written? What would that be?
Oh, thank you for that question, Dottie. What stands out in my chapter is not only do I talk about my experience in my career and the risks that I've taken, but I also talk to leaders. And I talk about leaders being models of calculated risk-taking and in creating an environment, whichever leadership position you are, whether you're a leader of your community, leader of your family, leader of others, leader of the country, you must create a calculated risk-taking environment so that people can feel comfortable to take risks and experiment and innovate and come up with solutions. We are told that Africa has a lot of problems, but also Africa, it means there are a lot of opportunities for us to solve this problem. So as leaders, even in Africa, then we must create that environment to allow people to take risks and solve the problems that we already have and not just use the same wheel and the same way that we've always done things. I'd like to quote myself, listen to this, what I write in the book. Leaders should also actively engage in risk-taking behaviors themselves, modeling that it can be done, whether it's by trying new strategies, exploring new markets, or adopting new technologies. This sets powerful examples for others to follow. They should model how to weigh risks against potential rewards by using data and strategic thinking, and show how to gather relevant information, assess risks, and make informed decisions. This way, risk-taking becomes less about guessing and more about making thoughtful, smart decisions. And that's the same thing that I said for my parents, that they modeled risk. They were business people, so they modeled the risks to me. And you know, in Africa, we need to use the tools that we have. We might not have a lot of tools, but modeling is free. Talking about a risk that you took, like I said about my Maguta plot that I burnt for 3 years. Talking about that and talking it out and telling people, this is what I did not look at. It's very easy for people to model the behavior, to model a behavior that they can see. If you are around a person who curses a lot, very soon you will start cursing. But if you have a person who talks openly, who models risk-taking, then it becomes very easy for you as an individual, as a follower, to look at what is being done and learn. And let's talk about the good and the bad. Let's talk about risks that we took that did not succeed. Let's talk about how easy it is to bounce back so that people don't end up in depression. Maybe they've put all their savings into the risks that they took. And let's address these issues because we are seeing a lot of time being wasted either in, like today I was looking at, this gambling. A lot of youths are getting engaged in gambling. We see a lot of people even following cults. By the time you decide you're going to follow a cult, what would you have looked at so that you can know this is a cult and this is not a cult? Why are you engaging in gambling? Why is it an easy way for you to make money, what would you have looked at so that by the time you're taking risks, it's something that has been modeled? Of course, if I was a minister of education, I'd want it in the curriculum. I'd want it to be taught at a very young age, so that by the time we are coming up, we are taking more risks, we are bouncing back faster, and we are coming up with more innovations. It can be done, and it should be done. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what stands
Thank
out
you
for
so
me.
much.
I don't only talk about my experience, but I also reach out to leaders in whatever capacity and take them through a step-by-step process on how they can create this environment for their teams. Yeah.
It is turning out for me as well. So as leaders, we are called upon to create a calculated risk environment. Yeah, that allows people to venture into it, to try to experiment and learn in the process, according to what I'm picking from that particular statement. Thank you so much for that, Beatrice. Now, we are looking forward to coming to support you on the 30th of November. We are a people of faith, so we believe that it's going to be an exciting day. And normally, I don't find it comfortable with my heart if I don't get to know what you as an individual would promise the prospective audience of the day. Someone who is here and has listened to you, and their appetite for risk is either growing or starting to develop, and looking forward to coming to be part of that launch on that day. What should they anticipate?
What should they
What should they
anticipate?
expect?
A very good question. Imagine this, Beatrice. You have been listening to Beatrice for the last 1 hour. Now imagine 13 more women like me talking about their chapter, giving you information, the lessons that they have learned. So what do they expect? They expect a mini MBA, a small MBA. By the time you leave that meeting, you'll have 3 issues that you will address. You will say, I must stop doing this. I must start doing this. And here on risk taking, I've been doing well, so I will continue doing. So come with a notepad. It's a mini MBA, something that you cannot get this side of the Sahara, where women will tell you, this is the experience that we have learned. And it is experience. You know, experience is experience. You don't need to learn from your own experience. You don't need to spend 15 years to make the mistakes that Beatrice made. So I can tell you, if you walk this journey, this is what you expect, and this is how you develop this muscle. So yes, come. It will be a fun session. It will be a good session, but we are getting into 2025. There are some things we must leave in 2024. This is an opportunity for you to come and write that list for yourself. What you must stop doing, what you must start doing, and what you're doing well and you must continue doing. You will also meet amazing people during the launch. So come, let's get new friends and let's create our risk village. You're looking for people to be in your village. This is it. We have 14 women that you can include, and we can network and get to know each other. So yeah, come. There's food. There's food, there are drinks, and very interesting people. So come get your mini MBA and learn something new. Yes.
Thank you, Beatrice. You make me feel like I should be there, though I'll be there by default. But if I had not planned to be there, then I think by this time I should have been convinced that I'm supposed to be part of that launch on that day. Thank you. This has been an interesting sharing, very inspirational conversation. Thank you for, like Emma is saying in a comment, that the humor in your stories is on another level. Very true. Even though they're really, ouch, you know. Thank you for vulnerability and very insightful. You're such a very, gifted writer. If you thought you're not an author, you're a good one.
Oh, wow,
There's a
thank
way
you.
reading the story. Yes. Yeah, there's a way it comes out. Just like Emma has commented, I totally agree with her. So if you have not read this book and you want to experience Beatrice in depth, then the only way to go about it is to get the book. Because when you get the book, you will not just experience her alone, but you get an opportunity to experience alongside her other 13 women sharing their stories, which are uniquely impactful. You never remain the same. Now, Beatrice, what will be your parting shot as we come to the close of our conversation today? Tell us something.
Oh, wow. My parting shot. Risk taking is for the brave. What do I mean by brave? BRAVE. B stands for be bold. Be willing to take risks that push your boundaries and challenge the status quo. And also, you've heard me talk about bouncing back quickly because risk involves mistakes. And especially for women, there's a research that was done by Joanne, I think she's called Joanne Collins of University of California. And she said the mistakes, when a woman makes a mistake, it is remembered longer. People will remember a mistake. I don't want to mention names, but we have seen it in Kenya. A woman is judged harshly and then her mistakes are remembered longer. So bounce back. Teach yourself how to bounce back. That is B. Before you get into taking a risk, reflect on the risk you're about to take and only take calculated risk, which will mean reflect. That is R. So we've talked about be bold and bounce back quickly. R, reflect and take calculated risks. Learn from your past mistakes and failures, but most important, learn from other people. Experience doesn't have to be yours. You can use Beatrice's experience. You can use Dottie's experience. You can use Beverly's experience. So reflect. That is R. A, act boldly. Okay? You need to take that step. In spite of your fears, don't be tied down by paralysis of analysis. We call them risk because at some point, the clarity is not 100%. Okay? But you still need to take that step. So step forward outside of your comfort zone and seize opportunities that challenge you. So B, be bold and bounce back quickly. R, reflect and take calculated risks. A, act boldly. So we have V, and I'll encourage you to engage with me. The last one is E. What do you think E stands for? So type there on chat and tell me what E for brave stands for. V stands for venture into the unknown. Embrace uncertainty. New experiences can bring you incredible opportunities. Have this attitude of, if no one has done it, then I'll be the first to do it. You don't have to only take risk of areas that others have done it. No, if no one has done it, be the first one to launch M-Pesa. Be the first one to form the next Equity Bank. Be the first one. So venture into the unknown. Last but not least, E. What do you think E stands for? Come on, my good people. Don't leave me here by myself. Dottie, what do you think E stands for?
Excel.
Excel in what you are doing. E stands for excel and encourage others to build, to take also risks. Once you have done it, once you've developed the muscles, support other people in their journey. Together, we can create a risk-taking Kenya. We can create a calculated risk-taking Kenya. And that would be my parting shot. Be brave in everything that you do. Thank you.
Wow, I got to excel and encourage. That's beautiful. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of that. I appreciate it. Has been an interesting conversation. Thank you, Beatrice, for sharing heartily with us. We appreciate that. I have learned a lot from this session. I will mention a few of what I'm taking home with me. You can also put something on the chat. If there's anything you have picked that you want to share with all of us, you can put something on the chat. The first thing I learned today is that the biggest risk is not failure, but not trying. So if you never try, according to what I'm getting, it is like you have already failed. Then Beatrice has talked about having your tool set, your skill set, your mindset, and then involving God. You know, calculated risks involve planning. You know, when you're taking a risk by faith, you have to commit your plans to God. He's your number one cheerleader. Develop or have a risk village. And then something has really stood out for me. As a leader, you should create a calculated risk environment. That is coming both as a very insightful thought there and a very serious challenge for me. As a leader, create a calculated risk environment. What environment are we creating? You know, you don't need to learn from your experience. If there are experiences you can learn from, that is the best way to go. We have Beatrice here and 13 other authors that we can learn from. Then risk-taking is brave. risk-taking is bold. You have to bounce back. You have to reflect. You have to act quickly. You have to venture into the unknown, and you have to excel and encourage others. Isn't that powerful? Thank you very much, Beatrice, for this session. It was a joy to have you, and it has been an exciting conversation. I also want to give a special thanks to every attendee that has been on the call. Your presence made this possible. You gave us a listening ear, and we appreciate that. I'm the one on the picture, but behind me is a team that is working always to make sure that this happens. When I'm chased out, they find a way to get me back. So I also want to give a special thanks to the Zion Pal team for the work they do to make this possible. And I always say, we cannot finish this conversation without mentioning the he for she that we know, Mr. Doso Radido. He's the founder of Zion Pal Publishers and also the man behind the She Leads project. Mr. Radido, we appreciate you and we thank you for the privilege to be on this platform just to inspire one another. Thank you all for being part of this meeting today. We give you a special invitation on 30th of November at the Trademark Hotel from 2 p.m. There will be a grand launch happening. And on behalf of our sister Beatrice, together with the other 13, you want to team up with me on this, Beatrice. Just say something alongside me. We are so looking forward to hosting you, and we are promising you an experience you won't forget in a short way. What do you say, Beatrice?
I agree totally. This is the best event that is happening on this side of Africa. You have to be there.
Yes.
You have to be there.
Yes. So thank you so much. With that, we draw the curtains of this meeting, and you can have a good evening. My name is Dottie. I've had the privilege to be our moderator for today, and I'm not the same. I have left a different person. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dottie.